Alright, so this is going to be the 5,000 mile update on the Subaru Forester Wilderness. This is 2023 model, and it actually took a while to get here in mileage because I've been pretty wrapped up with work and not everything revolves around driving a car. So just under 5,000 miles. I'll show you the dash in a minute, but this is just a quicker overview of what I think of the car after 5,000 miles of driving. First of all, I'll say, as you can see from the photos, it's cleaned off a lot because of a lot of the rain, but I have used the all-wheel drive and tires through stick mud, and it works great. The only add-on I have done to this thing in the first 5,000 miles is a hitch, and it is actually the Kurt hitch. It's the one that mounts on the frame rails. I carry bike racks. I haven't had any issues with that so far. As far as ride quality and overall durability so far, living in Texas with hailstorms and everything else that's going on, it's handled everything just fine, so no complaints there so far. Tires have been good, and everything on the body has held up as expected. All right, so just started it up. Get it focused. As you can see, 5,003 miles. I guess I just crossed over yesterday driving home. But for the most part, interior wise, it is pretty solid. It's actually a really quiet interior. With the weather we've been having recently, some of my favorite features are obviously the seat warmers, and yeah, pretty much the seat warmers. Android Auto, as far as like the infotainment center, to me it's a little lackluster. It lacks. I have an Android phone, and it freezes quite a bit or just doesn't work sometimes. I don't know what's going on with that. I heard it's a very common problem. Just a lot of cars, different makes and models, have all kinds of issues with that. But it's pretty frustrating with the new car that you put on your maps through Android Auto and it's constantly freezing. One of the most annoying things with this car is going to be the little blue light where you wait for it to warm up every time, and it takes a lot longer. This is zooming in and out. It takes a lot longer than a normal car, I would say, to warm up. Like the 4Runner, you just base it off the idle, you let it run for a couple minutes, and it's always good. This one seems to take a while. I don't really know if you have to wait for that light. I don't always wait, but for the most part, I just let it run its course. I auto start it and let it run. I don't want to say that's the most annoying. It's one of two things. And they do make a thing to disable the other part, but it's actually the little auto start feature. So you got to click this button every time if you don't want to have your car auto stop and start. And to me, it feels horrible when it does it. I've forgotten to turn it off a couple times. This is my second Subaru, but I have forgotten to turn it off a couple times, and it is super annoying, and it just doesn't feel good when the car auto stops and starts. It just doesn't feel natural for the car. But they do make a disable switch. Apparently, you can put it on, and your car automatically goes to where it turns that off every time you start it up. So that's something I'm gonna look at doing. But interior wise, it's held up relatively well. We are both in the military, my wife and I, so a lot of gear gets put in this car. Uniforms, all that stuff. The seats have held up really good. No complaints there so far. I do like all the protection. It has all the mats all the way around, and we have spilled a couple things in the mats in the back of, actually, I think it's, you can probably see it. So we had an energy drink back here, and it rolled, hit the seat rail, and it actually busted, but the mat kept everything in it, so I got to pull these out and spray them down. So interior wise, like I said, it's held up very well. No real complaints on that. And a lot of people seem to have windshield problems. And we haven't had any windshield problems as of yet. I'm gonna knock on wood because I've heard these things are very, very easily broken. Small rocks seem to destroy it. But we haven't had any issues, and they are very expensive. I've seen people post on the Subaru Facebook page that they pay almost $1,000 to get these replaced. So we do keep insurance on that just in case. As far as like a lot of the trim features for the Wilderness, I do like it. I don't think it's too overboard. I think some of the features, like just having the stitching, it looks good, and got a lot of compliments on this car for what it is, right? So for a factory car, it's a little bit higher. It's got a nice little stance. It's got the accents. It's got the Subaru Wilderness badges. It's got obviously the tires and stuff like that. So it just looks pretty good, and a lot of people like it. You don't see them all over the place. I will say, I put the hitch on. It wasn't too bad to put the hitch on. It took probably about, I don't know, 45 minutes or so to put that style of hitch on. And I really feel like every Wilderness, that should be a factory like standard feature. So I think every time you buy one, it should come with a hitch. A lot of people that are buying Wildernesses are outdoor people. They're going hiking. They're doing everything. So I really feel like outdoors wise, it should come with a hitch standard. And primarily because a lot of people that have Subarus, they hike, they bike, they do things like that. And I know a lot of people might not agree with this, but I feel like having the roof rack, so the crossbars, if you're gonna put something like you know, an outdoor Wilderness package together, there should really be, it should be standard. It should come with the crossbars, and it should also come with the hitch. There's two things that it's add-on feature, and they're both really not that cheap to add on. As far as the sound system, haven't had too many issues. Like the speaker wise, like I said, I told you about the problems I've had with the actual infotainment center. Speakers sound fine to me. I don't have any issues. I found the best way without using Android Auto is just to Bluetooth your phone, and the quality's fine. Everything else works fine. You can still answer your phone. No complaints there. Overall, I would say I'm pretty happy with the purchase of this car. A lot of the features, nothing's too crazy overboard. Move my hat out of the way and get this out of the way. This is primarily the feature I leave it on, just so I can see the water temp, oil temp, and average. Well, average speed's not a part of it, but the first two. You could barely see that. It doesn't play very well on the phone. That's primarily what I'll leave it on. I do like that a lot of the features on here, so like the Outback has the really big screen, and the majority of the stuff is like push button off the screen. I do like having the actual physical knobs and dials for this stuff. It's just one less thing to break, in my opinion. So overall, 5,000 miles, great car. My only two complaints are those two things, and they're not even really big complaints, I guess you could say. I've had no real issues with this car. Like I said, I've taken in bad rainstorms, through some muddy trails, and it hasn't let me down. Now, I've never even had to switch the selector. It just drove through, like, I would say it's probably almost a foot of mud for, I mean, well over a quarter mile straight of just thick mud, and I didn't even have to switch it out. So the tires, the all-wheel drive, it already works great from the factory, so no complaints there. Like I said, so far durability, just being in the car a lot, throwing a lot of gear in the car, bike helmets, military gear, stuff like that, it has handled everything fine, and we'll see how it goes. I'll do another review later on, obviously, as I put more miles on it and I do a couple more things to it. But just over 5,000 miles. I did get an oil change at 2,000 miles. That's just the way I am with cars. I did it with every other car I've owned, even the 4Runner since new. I did one right around 2,000 miles, and then I'll get one more at 5,000 miles, and then we'll go to 5,000 mile increments for oil changes. But I do like doing that 2,000 mile one. It's just peace of mind for me. And then the second one at 5,000, that way everything is consistent. So I'm about to go get an oil change. Once I do run out of free ones, everything else will be done at my house versus the dealer, just because I have a video on the 4Runner why I really don't like going to the dealer. Subaru hasn't let me down yet, but I would prefer to change it myself and just have that peace of mind. So like I said, did 2,000 Gonna do a 5,000, and then from there it'd be every 5,000 miles for the oil changes until we hit that that big service point, and that will be a do-yourself as well. But if you have any questions, comments, anything about the Subaru Forester Wilderness, like I said, I've had a great experience so far. The bodies, everything's great. Engine's been great. Transmission is a CVT, is what it is, but really no problems there. But overall, just great car. So if you have anything to add, any comments, questions, please let me know. And thank you for watching.